Welcome back, guys, to my series of X-Men reviews leading up to Deadpool and Wolverine. I had so much fun, guys, talking about these X-Men movies. I enjoy reviewing the original X-Men trilogy. Now we're going to get into the fun movie in this series, and fun for all the wrong reasons. This can be agreeably the worst X-Men movie in this series. I think everyone would agree with that. And that movie is X-Men Origins Wolverine. This movie came out in the year 2009, and this movie is directed by Gavin, and stars, of course, Hugh Jackman returning as Wolverine, with some other people from Liev, Schreiber, Lynn, Taylor Kittish, Ryan Reynolds, will.i.am from Black Eyed Peas is in this movie, Kevin Durand, and Danny Huston. Now, yep. I just say it right away, this is a terrible movie. This is the worst X-Men movie in this series, and I'm going to explain why this movie is a big pile of shit. But here's the funny thing about X-Men Origins Wolverine. I actually grew up loving this movie as a kid. I remember this used to be my favorite X-Men movie because it's Wolverine. Hugh Jackman is one of my favorite actors when I was a kid. I remember seeing the first X-Men film, and I love Wolverine's character. And X-Men Origins Wolverine, my dad showed me the film, and I grew up loving the film, despite how terrible the film is. But I was a kid. I was 9 years old when this movie came out. I liked movies like Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. I loved X-Men Origins Wolverine. I loved the first G.I. Joe movie, because I don't notice if a film is good or bad. I just like any film that I see. And just watching it now, I'm just thinking, especially X-Men Origins Wolverine, going, why did I like this as a kid? Because this movie is a completely terrible movie. There's so many issues with X-Men Origins Wolverine. And the sad thing about X-Men Origins Wolverine is that this was supposed to be a thing with X-Men Origins series, where they tell every mutant their own stories, their own movies, like Cyclops, Magneto, Storm, and stuff. And of course, Wolverine starts it all because Wolverine's the most famous character in the X-Men lore and the movie series. But if we had the right writers and right directors, this series would have still happened. But nope, we got the wrong writers for this movie and the wrong director for this movie that made the story of this movie so messy and so terribly written that we didn't get these movies anymore. It's really sad. This could have been so much potential. This could have been a thing. But unfortunately, X-Men Origins Wolverine is just completely ruined overall. Now, are there positives with X-Men Origins Wolverine? Yes, Hugh Jackman. He is still great in this movie. He's definitely the central part of this movie. He definitely saved the movie at least for a couple of moments, because it's Hugh Jackman. He's just great as his character. Despite from the terrible script that he has been given, Hugh Jackman still tried. He still gave it his all, and he's still great as Logan/Wolverine. He's still got it as this character. And I gotta say, from the opening scene of X-Men Origins Wolverine, through the opening credit scene, where you see Wolverine and Sabretooth just fighting for all these wars, honestly, I wish that could have been the movie right there. How interesting would that be, Wolverine fighting in World War II and all these wars? How can that not be an awesome movie? That could have just been the X-Men Origins Wolverine right there. It could have been a really awesome thing that this movie could have done, but instead we got this really terrible, messy revenge origin story film that is definitely all over the place overall. Let's talk about the rest of the cast in this movie, especially Liev Schreiber as Sabretooth/Victor, because that's what Wolverine says the entire film. Victor! 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 Liev Schreiber is not that great in this movie, and I love this actor. He's a great actor, but he is so extremely over the top in this movie. And their chemistry together, Sabretooth is supposed to be like Wolverine's like arch rivalry. And they did that really messy and really terribly. And their chemistry just does not work in my personal opinion. Those two are really good actors, but them working together in this movie, they don't work in this movie. And this is supposed to be a story between Wolverine and Sabretooth going against each other because Sabretooth killed Wolverine's girlfriend to get revenge on him. It could have been an interesting story as well, but no, it's just ruined with this really terrible script, and their chemistry just does not work. And Liev Schreiber as Sabretooth is very freaking over the top in this movie in a very bad way. His puns in this movie are so terribly written.
Well, well, well. Look what the cat dragged in.
Guys, whatever this is...
Victor! Jimmy! Victor!
And yes, this is a revenge film, with Sabretooth killing Wolverine's girlfriend and getting revenge. Is the chemistry between Wolverine and this new girlfriend, Silver Fox, I think her name is, played by Lynn, are their chemistry at least rooting for Wolverine to get revenge on? No, their chemistry is just out of nowhere and just very, very rushed in the film. I don't see eye to eye with them two in this film. They felt like a one-dimensional couple. There's not even a reason where I'm like, oh shit, that sucks, because their chemistry together in this film is really awful. And the twist that she's actually alive the entire time at the end, I didn't care for that because their chemistry wasn't great in the beginning and their chemistry wasn't that well developed at the end. Now, this is supposed to be the Wolverine origin story, how we got the animatium in this movie. And I gotta say, comparing from this movie to X-Men 2, which honestly, I wanted to talk about this comparison with X-Men 2 because X-Men 2 did the Wolverine origin story right. And this movie is supposed to basically tribute to that. Tribute to X-Men 2 and make it exactly what X-Men 2 showed us. No, it didn't. It didn't do that at all. It felt like this movie's from an alternate universe. Because if you see Wolverine coming out of the Weapon X program in X-Men 2, you see his claws all bloody. You see him extremely in pain when his claws first come out. Like in the first X-Men movie, Rogue asked Wolverine, does it hurt a lot every time the claws come out? And Wolverine says, anytime. It doesn't show that in this movie. It just shows Wolverine just being a badass. It just hurts the impact of Wolverine's origin story and hurts how dark and really mesmerizing and intense his origin story is in X-Men 2. This film is literally not an origin story from X-Men 2. It just felt like a film that's from a completely different universe. The people don't even care of what happened in X-Men 2. I don't even think they've seen X-Men 2 because this origin story comparing to X-Men 2 is completely different. Even like Danny Huston is different from Brian Cox in X-Men 2 as William Stryker. He is such a one-dimensional villain. He's such an over-the-top villain. And I felt like Brian Cox did a better version of William Stryker than Danny Huston did. And yeah, let's talk about the CGI in X-Men Origins Wolverine because yes, the CGI in this movie is completely terrible, especially the claws in this film. The freaking claws in this movie look terrible. And that is a big right there. Like seriously, if you have the claws, Wolverine's awesome weapon, looking terrible in the movie, that is terrible. That is really freaking terrible. Like, from the first X-Men movie has better visual effects with the claws than X-Men Origins Wolverine. It literally looks like a freaking PS2 game. Like the scene where Wolverine's just checking out his claws in the mirror and just clinging on together. My god, it looks so terrible. Like literally the whole entire CGI in this movie, oh my god, it's just so terrible. And this movie has some of the most noticeable stunt work, like wire work that I've ever seen in a film. Like the scene where Agent Zero just flips over the bridge. You can tell he's on a string. It looks terrible. So the special effects are terrible. The stunt team are very noticeable in the film. What about the action scenes? Could this movie at least have good action scenes? No! Not even the action scenes are that great because it's full with freaking jump cuts that come all over the place that we don't get to see what the heck is happening. I would say the only best action scene per se in the movie is the bike chase scene, but that scene is even freaking awful, but at least it was fun enough. But the action scenes overall in this movie is completely terrible. Now let's talk about some of the most hysterically bad moments in the film. First of all, will.i.am is in this movie from Black Eyed Peas. That's hysterical enough. But we also get the scene with the blob. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, with Wolverine just boxing matching with the blob. Like, who written this scene? It's just so out of nowhere. And we also got some completely wasted characters in this film also, especially Taylor Kitsch as Gambit. Man, Gambit is an awesome character in the X-Men cartoons. Everyone loves Gambit. Such a badass character. And they made that bland and generic in this movie, and Taylor Kitsch is really bad in this movie. Honestly, if he wasn't in this movie, it would have made a difference because Gambit is just there in this movie. And such a shame that the Channing Tatum movie is cancelled because honestly, I was excited for it. I was really excited for it. Because Gambit is an awesome character, but unfortunately, we had to deal with Taylor Kitsch as Gambit in this movie. And of course, guys, let's talk about the biggest thing that made X-Men Origins Wolverine one of the worst X-Men movies in the entire series. And that is, of course, Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. What the fuck is this? What the fuck is that? The design of Deadpool and Wolverine fighting at the end, the design of Deadpool in general, who came up with this idea to sew the moke with the mouth shut. Who came up with this idea? It's like taking away Hulk's strength. It's like taking away Batman's gadgets. It's like taking away Spider-Man's web. It's not Deadpool. It's just some one-dimensional villain, muted villain, and they just happen to call it Deadpool. Now, at least with X-Men Origins Wolverine, if we didn't have this movie, honestly, if Deadpool wasn't terribly presented in this film, we wouldn't have Deadpool in the first place. It's kind of like with Batman and Robin with Batman Begins. If we didn't have X-Men Origins Wolverine, we wouldn't have Deadpool. So at least there's something to appreciate about X-Men Origins Wolverine, but I'll never forgive the first introduction of Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool looking this terribly. Like, even Ryan Reynolds himself hates how he looks in X-Men Origins Wolverine. That's a plus right there. That is a plus. The end fight scene is just so freaking terrible with Deadpool and Sabretooth fighting Deadpool on this, like, smoke tower. Man, like, with the action scenes, it just looks terrible, and the look of Deadpool looks so distracting, I wasn't even having fun with the fight scenes. And just the whole origin story in general of X-Men Origins Wolverine's messy, how Wolverine loses his memory, how Wolverine got the adamantium. Yeah, he also had bone claws that also look really terrible in this film. Everything about X-Men Origins Wolverine is just completely messy. It has terrible action scenes, terrible revenge story, messy plot overall. Hugh Jackman is definitely the best part about this movie, absolutely. He is still great as Wolverine, and this movie could have had potential of the line with X-Men Origins movies if we had the right writers and director, and unfortunately X-Men Origins Wolverine has the wrong that. This movie has so many scenes that are out of nowhere. The story, the overall impact of X-Men Origins Wolverine, I wasn't feeling it. Even like when Wolverine first got his adamantium claws and all that stuff. You don't feel the impact. You don't feel intense like you did in X-Men 2. This movie is absolutely the black sheep of the X-Men movies. Absolutely. Because I just didn't feel the connection that X-Men Origins has with the original X-Men movies. And one thing, CGI Patrick Stewart. What the fuck? So yes, overall guys, X-Men Origins Wolverine is agreeably the worst X-Men movie in this series. Like I said, worst action scenes, bad story. Hugh Jackman is still great in this movie, but this movie is just completely messy, very colluded overall, and I would say this movie just had the wrong writers and directors for this. The broader revenge story is just not that great in this movie. This movie has so many hysterical characters, including the Blob and Deadpool in the film, wasted characters like Gambit. This movie could have been something special. This could have been like the first Marvel Cinematic Universe with the X-Men, but the movie just ruins it. But thank God, we got great X-Men movies after this, but we could all agree that X-Men Origins Wolverine is the worst X-Men movie in this series.
It will never happen again.
We can't just let you walk away.
Shiny.
Now we're thankful that we got a great X-Men movie in my next review. My next review is going to be X-Men First Class. Look forward to that. I cannot wait to review that one. Man, I love that movie so much. So guys, that is my review for X-Men Origins Wolverine. Let me know what you think of this film in the comments below. Do you like this movie? Or you mostly hate this movie, or you thought it's okay. Just let me know in the comments below. Make sure you guys follow me on social media links down below. Keep contact with me, and make sure you guys subscribe to my channel notified for my latest movie reviews and other movie related content. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a nice day.